Hi friends, welcome back to Beautifully Bookish Bethany, where I have new videos every week about books and the geeky mom lifestyle. Subscribe for more bookish videos and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified every time I release a new video. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my August TBR. So August is nearly upon us. We are heading into the end of summer and I've got a lot of books that I'm planning on reading. So let's go ahead and jump in. First up, I would share the book we're going to be reading for my Patreon book club. Every month my patrons get to vote on a book that we read together, and each month we do it based around a different genre. For August, we are reading paranormal romance. The book that we're going to be reading is Dead Witch Walking by Kim Harrison. I know this one came out a while ago. It's got witches and vampires and a sexy bounty hunter. I know this is a little bit dated, so it's going to be an interesting journey, but I'm looking forward to checking this one out. This is what we're going to be reading together. As always, huge thanks to every one of my patrons. Your support means so much to me, and a special shout out goes to my patrons at the new release hardcover level and above, currently including Trina from Bookish Trina, Ashley from Books with Ashley on Instagram, Jillian from Jillian's Book Chatter, Lori from Lori's Book Trials, Jess from The Tiny Tea Set, and Maggie from Stormy Reads a Lot on Instagram. Thanks so much to all of you for your support. Every month my patrons also get entered into a raffle, and the winner gets to select a book that they want to see me read and review in the coming month. This month the winner of that was Isabella from The Feminist Bookworm over on Instagram, and the book that she selected to see me read and review in August is This Is My America by Kim Johnson. As I'm filming this, I think this book is about to come out. It's coming out at the end of July. It's a YA debut novel that I've been hearing really good things about. It's being pitched as Dear Martin meets Just Mercy. It follows a 17-year-old girl who keeps writing letters to an organization asking them to help her dad, who is currently on death row. After 7 years, she's running out of time, and her dad has less than a year left before he's supposed to be executed, when her brother is arrested for supposedly killing a white girl, and she decides to investigate. This sounds like an interesting and hard-hitting book. It's kind of a thriller, but one that explores racial issues in the criminal justice system. I know Isabella really loved it and is excited to see me read it, so I will be reading that one in August and coming at you guys with a review. Then I've got a couple of books I've been on hold for the audio copy from my library, and they're supposed to be coming through in about 2 weeks, so I anticipate reading both of these in August, and they are books that I have on my physical TBR. The first one is Hood Feminism, Notes from the Women That a Movement Forgot by Mickey Kendall. I have been hearing so many incredible things about this book lately. It's talking about the problems with a white-centered feminism and the need for intersectional feminism. It's from a Black perspective, and I'm really excited to dive into this. So sometime in the next 2 weeks or so, I should be getting an audio copy, and I'm probably going to read along as well, so I can kind of tab it as I'm going. So looking forward to that. And then the other one is a book that I've been meaning to pick up for a while. This is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the sequel to The Poppy War, which I thought was fantastic. This is an adult military fantasy that is loosely inspired by Chinese history, and I've heard the book 2 is even better, and I loved book 1. Book 3 is coming out soon, so I'm happy that I'm going to be able to get to this one before the third book comes out. Planning on reading this one in August. I also am planning on participating in a buddy read for a book. I don't know the exact details of how this is going to work, but there's a group of people that I've chatted with about probably reading this, but I think it's going to be Ashley from Bookish Realm, Erica from The Broken Spine, Deirdre from Shade Tree Reads. I'm not sure who all is participating, but I think that group of people, maybe a couple other people, but we are planning on reading An Unkindness of Ghosts by Rivers Solomon, which I'm really excited about because this is a book that's been on my TBR for a while. I've been meaning to read this, and I've heard wonderful things. Rivers Solomon is a queer and non-binary author, and this is their sci-fi debut that I've heard really great things about. I don't remember a ton of details about the synopsis, but I know this is one I've been wanting to get to for a while, so I'm very happy to have a reason, and hopefully that buddy read will happen in August. Then I have a few physical books that were sent to me for review, and I think I have a couple more coming in the mail that aren't going to quite make it onto this TBR, but there will be others. But among the main things that are on my agenda, I am going to be reading Traitor by Amanda Macrina. This is a YA debut novel coming out in August. It's a military thriller set in Poland in the 1940s, so during World War II, and I've had the chance to hear from the author, and I'm really excited to check this out. Her family is Polish, and I know she did a ton of research into this, and it is interesting because there's not a lot written, especially for YA audiences, about the Eastern Front, where it sounds like things are messy and less clear-cut in terms of black and white. So really looking forward to this, and definitely going to be reading it early on in August. Thank you to the folks over at Fierce Reads for sending me a copy for review. Also from Fierce Reads is The Good for Nothings by Danielle Bonas. This is another one I'm going to be reading early in the month because it's coming out, I think, early on, and it just sounds really fun. It's another YA story that says it's whip-smart and utterly charming, an irreverent sci-fi adventure perfect for fans of Guardians of the Galaxy, The Lunar Chronicles, and Firefly. And if that is not a good pitch, I don't know what is. I am hopeful that this is going to be like a really good, fun sci-fi time with some anti-heroes and villains, so I'm looking forward to that one. And then finally, Entangled Publishing sent me a copy of Always a Bridesmaid by Cindy Madsen. This is an adult contemporary romance. The heroine has been a bridesmaid 7 times, and then her boyfriend breaks up with her, and she's like, it's fine, I'm gonna focus on my photography business. But then I think her sister is gonna be getting married, and she accidentally sets fire to her sister's bakery, and in the process ends up meeting a firefighter, and sparks ensue. So this sounds like it'll be fun, and I am also planning on reading this one in August. So I have a few other physical books that I'm hoping to get to next month that I'll mention, and then I will jump over to talking about some of the NetGalley arcs that are on the docket for me. First up is a book that I've been wanting to read for like a year. This is The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Kowal. Tor recently sent me an arc of the 3rd book in the series, and it kind of reminded me, oh yeah, I really wanted to read this. I should go ahead and do that. So I am going to listen to this. I think I also have an audiobook of this for Audible that I got when it was on sale, so I really have no excuse. And I've heard fantastic things about it. It's an alternate history, I think set in like the 1950s or 60s in America, where all of these ladies become astronauts, and I hear it's phenomenal. So planning on picking this one up in August. I will also be reading Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. I am so excited for this book, you guys. I love Talia. I've heard nothing but good things about this. It's a contemporary romance with a black bisexual heroine and a cinnamon roll security guard hero, and I am ready for it. It's gonna happen. I'm saying it's happening in August. And then 2 other things I would like to get to. One is Fire Baptized by Kenya Wright. This is another one of those like paranormal vampire books by authors of color that has been a thing that I've been doing. I bought this one and it sounded interesting. It's got vampires and shifters and fairies, and I want to check it out. So I would like to read that one. And then the final physical book I'm going to put on my TBR for this month is Black Venus by Angela Carter. I have been wanting to read Angela Carter for a while and never have, and I recently picked this up. It's a little collection of short stories, which sometimes can be a good introduction to people's writing. I know she's known for Black feminist thought, and this doesn't look like it would take me long to read, but it's one that I want to get to. So also hoping to pick that one up. With that said, let's talk about all the things on NetGalley. So, there, you know, we'll see what happens, guys. It's gonna be exciting. Okay, so one exciting thing is that NetGalley has recently started doing audiobook arcs, and there are not very many of them available yet, but there are a couple. I listened to one already, and I have another one scheduled for next month. The one I'm going to be listening to is Night Swim by Megan Golden. This is her 2nd book. She writes adult thrillers, and I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm curious about this one. And this one involves a woman investigating I think like a sexual assault crime or something, but things go kind of wrong. So definitely interested in that one. I'm going to be listening to that on audio thanks to NetGalley. Okay, so things on NetGalley that I'm going to be reading. So first up is a YA murder mystery that looks really interesting. This is called They Wish They Were Us by Jessica Goodman. It's being pitched as Gossip Girl meets One of Us is Lying with a dash of The Secret History, and it's set at an exclusive prep school on Long Island. So many things I love in that sentence. I really like stuff at fancy prep schools. Gossip Girl and Secret History, this sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading that one. I am also planning on reading A Court of Lions by Samaya Dowd. This is the long-awaited second book in, I believe, what's a duology sequel to Mirage, which was her debut, which came out a couple years ago. I really loved Mirage, and I feel like it was kind of underhyped. It's this Moroccan-inspired sci-fi story that feels more like a fantasy. So it's set on another planet and has some light sci-fi elements, but because there's so much of like court intrigue and politics and this rich kind of Moroccan vibe to it, it feels more like you're reading a fantasy story. The first book follows a young woman who is plucked out of her small village on an obscure planet and brought to the capital city, where she will serve as a body double for the princess, because apparently somehow they look alike. But then things happen, and it's really great. So the sequel is finally coming out next month, and I'm planning on reading my arc of it hopefully before it comes out. Another sequel I'm looking forward to is A Chorus of Fire by Brian D. Anderson. So I think in like January they released his debut. He was originally published as an indie author and now is being published by Tor. They've been doing that with quite a few authors lately, and he's one of them. And it wasn't a perfect book, but I did really enjoy my time with his first one, which like the name is escaping me, so I'll put it up on the screen here so you can see it. It feels kind of like a classic epic fantasy story, and it was just fun. It kind of felt like a throwback. It wasn't a perfect book. It had some issues with pacing, and like the ending was weird, but I do want to continue on in the series, so I'm going to be reading the sequel. Then book 3 in El Penelope's fantasy romance series, A Cry of Metal and Bone, is coming out. Although I will say the first book is a fantasy romance, book 2 is much more of a fantasy, and I'm curious to see what book 3 is. What's interesting is they're all set in the same world and have some connections, but follow different characters and follow a different relationship. So I don't know who this third book is following, and then book 4 is set to come out next year, I think. We got a cover for it, and yeah, I really like these books, and I'm glad more people are finally picking them up because I think they're great. Then I have a novella, Drowned Country by Emily Tesh. This is the sequel to Silver in the Woods, which I read last year from Tor.com and really enjoyed. It's kind of a fairy tale type story that feels a little bit fae, and probably this is going to be a quick read, so will be a nice little breather to throw in somewhere in the month. If you can't tell, I probably overdid the NetGalley arcs for August. I'm trying to rein it in, guys. I'm trying. Another August release is a historical romance that looks really funny. It's called Who's That Earl by Susanna Craig. And I just love the cover on this. You can tell it's gonna have some like pokes at modernity, and this just sounds like a lot of fun. Will scandalous secrets stand in the way of a second chance at love? Miss Jane Quayle excels at invention. How else could the sheltered daughter of an English gentleman create lurid Gothic novels so infamous someone wants their author silenced forever? Fortunately, Jane has taken steps to protect herself, first by assuming a pen name, and second by taking up residence at remote Dunnock Castle, surrounded by rugged scenery that might have been ripped from the pages of one of her books. Her true identity remains a secret until one dark and stormy night. Guys, I'm just like living for this, and then it ends up being a historical romance. Like, everything about the vibe of even this description is so my jam. Like, I'm excited to read this one. I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I requested it. Then another sequel I'm looking forward to is we have Scandalous Secrets by Synithia Williams. So one of my favorite romances that I read last year was her first book in the series, which I probably have down here next to me somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. So this is Forbidden Promises, which I keep recommending to people because it's such a great, soapy, melodramatic kind of contemporary romance that follows an elite Black family in the South. And I have been ready for book 2 because I want to know all the things about all the family members. Okay, then we have a YA gothic thriller that I am really excited about. This is called The Companion by Katie Allender, and this might be her debut, I'm not sure, but I know the publicists seem real excited about this one and about the twists and turns that are shocking and wild. It follows a girl who's an orphan who was in a group home who's pulled from that to become an companion for a young woman at this estate, but there are weird things going on and weird things going on with the girl. So this is like a creepy gothic sort of thriller, which again, give me all the gothic stuff right now. I'm so here for it. And then the last thing is one that I'm a little nervous about, honestly. This is called The Wrong Mr. Darcy by Evelyn Lozada and Holly Lawrence. This is supposed to be a contemporary retelling of Pride and Prejudice. But my friend, who I trust, Mara, over at Books Like Whoa, read it and said it's bad. Like, really bad. Like, she gave it 1 star, and she usually has pretty good taste in these sorts of things. So don't be shocked if I DNF this. Because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try it, but if you're saying it's that bad, then yikes. Yeah, so we will see. There you go. That is my TBR for August. Lesson, I overdid requesting ARCs. You know what part of the problem is that they kept approving everything because so many of the publishers are moving towards digital ARCs with COVID instead of physical ones. It's a lot. If I can get access to some of these on audio, I might try to do that. But there you go. Those are the books that I am planning on reading in August if everything goes well. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on anything I talked about today. And for your question of the day, let me know if there is a genre that you've just really been in the mood for lately. I'm kind of wanting all the gothic stuff right now. Like, give me the gothic romance, the gothic horror. I read Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia this month, and I loved it. Like, I'm really feeling those vibes. I don't know why. It's like hot in the middle of summer, but for whatever reason, maybe because it feels like it would be cooler than the heat wave that we have in New York right now, but this seems to be what I'm in the mood for. So talk to me in the comments down below and tell me what kind of books you have been in the mood for lately. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.